Welcome back, everyone. My name's Chris, and today we are talking about something very exciting. What looks to be a very real leak. It has been announced on a couple forums and random websites, not really official ones like Bike Mag or any like that. We're talking about a brand new electric bike from Trek. The rumors are it is a Fuel EXE. So this is going to be an electric version of the very famous Fuel EX. The big change about this, though, is it's not a standard electric bike. We're going to touch on a few of the key points which separates this from an electric bike and what it is. But the release which I found on offroad.cc.cnd, like, it's a really kind of peculiar website. I've never been on it. Offroad.cc, road.cc's off-road website? I'm not sure. They have got what looks to be 100% marketing images from Trek showing off this all-new Fuel EXE. What's really peculiar is there doesn't seem to be any other news articles about it. Trek doesn't have it. No one else has posted it. So let's go into the facts about what they've got going on here. Number one, this is a brand new model from Trek. They do not have a Fuel EXE right now. There is no electronic fuel. The closest they'd have is the Rail, which is, full fact, an electric bike running on the Bosch electric system, fully removable battery. And it's big and heavy and is designing the way most e-bikes are going, with the exception of a few. Orbea was one of the first ones to do it. They worked with Shimano directly to create the EP8R motor, which was custom designed to output only like an X amount of value, not as high torque, little lighter weight design. The battery was a little smaller, and it really was truly this electric assist bike instead of this electric bike. You know, the Bosch systems, they provide an insane amount of power. That turbo mode, you'll be able to conquer pretty much any mountain with it, and with the size of the batteries, you'll be able to do it without running out of battery. These are these big, bulky batteries with a lot of power, and if you wanted to, it's essentially a motorcycle without a throttle and a limiter of 32. That's the biggest difference with the Fuel EXE. According to this website, Trek is claiming it's the balance between an acoustic mountain bike and a full e-bike. Kind of a weird description, but essentially they've developed the world's most invisible assist. So the design with that is that you will barely notice it. It is going to be very computer controlled, easing it on only when you need it and only taking off that bite. It has a motor designed by TQ, which I had never heard of. Neither had this website. They're saying they work with NASA and the Mars rovers and some other satellite stuff, some pretty space age stuff. So they're a high-end electronics company, assumably, who've made motors before. And then only a 360 watt-hour battery. So it's small, it's not tiny. You know, most are around 500 watt-hour. So it's a good quarter-ish smaller. It's not a massively small battery, but it's going to have a lot of range to it. And especially if it's just this light assist mode all the time. Overall, the weight is just 18.4 kilograms. Pretty lightweight. I mean, if this comes in at 40 pounds or just under, overall, that's a very lightweight e-bike, let alone a full suspension electric bike. You know, the Fuel EX8 is 32 pounds. Fuel EX5 is 34 pounds. So to add 7 pounds on with a motor and a battery, that's pretty impressive by my mind. So the goal with this bike is to divide or remove the divide between electric and traditional bikes. When you ride an electric bike, you know you're on an electric bike. It's either very heavy with a light amount of assist or insanely overpowered and you don't even notice that weight. The goal with working with TQ is to create a motor with a very refined assist. So again, this is just going to be all about that computer programming to really enable you to be working out, but not working too hard that it would take away the fun. To potentially go with the flow a little bit more. I assume there's going to be a few more sensors within the bike to detect speed. So it will really allow you to know when you need electric and when it doesn't need electric. So it should work with you and the bike to understand that right now when I'm climbing slow, well, maybe I needed before that a little bit of a boost, and as it gets up that hill to potentially ease off. So I'm still working, but I might keep that consistent average pace a little bit higher, and then now in these flats, I wouldn't be out of energy, and I'd have kept that roll a little bit faster, so when I add my pedaling, I then continue the pace a little more effectively. TQ is also supposed to be quieter, lighter, and smaller. Judging on these pictures, it is tiny. Like, it does not look bulky at all. It doesn't really look like it adds little to any volume to the crank, which is where it's based. It also uses a harmonic pin ring transmission, which I have no idea what that means. I've looked into it a little bit. It does look like it has multiple kind of gears in a way, but it's not in a normal gear sense. It's more to reduce noise, and it's really hard to explain. It sounds very fancy, let's be honest. There's fewer moving parts, and it employs a flex spline, making it quiet. So instead of that just being that standard traditional kind of electric motor attached to a kind of ring, chain ring essentially, which then attaches to another kind of cog chain ring, which then attaches to yours. So then there's a little bit of play and movement and rattles. Everything is more direct. It's more direct drive straight to the crank. It can be combined with a top tube integrated display, which contains 4 screens. You'll get battery life, ride time, average speed, rider power, and motor power. That was a quote from the website, which lists off obviously more information. So I don't know if this is mappable or controllable, but there is a little remote control on the handlebar to do that. Overall, they're saying it's a 2 to 5 hour range. I don't really know what that means. Obviously, the Fuel X is a trail bike, an all mountain bike. So it's a mix of climbing, trail, rolling. It's not a simple rail where you may climb for 2 hours and then descend for 45. This is more of a keep the flow going. Again, with that fancier harmonic pin ring transmission, with the computer built into it and the tech they bring from the Mars rover, this is made to keep the roll going. The design with the Fuel X is to roll, roll, roll. It will overall make you go a little bit faster, but the goal isn't to be insanely fast. The goal is to really intelligently choose how fast you go when you need it to keep the next flat or slower section moving faster and faster. So your average pace of the ride will just be slightly higher with a little less effort. It does have a range extender available too, 160 watt, which then brings it all the way up to a 500 watt hour motor. So there you're going to get, 40% more range. It fits right on the top tube, right where the water bottle cage would go. That is pretty impressive. If you're already getting 2 to 5 hours, adding another 40% on gives you a very impressive amount of speed or distance to go. That being said, obviously it doesn't mention the total torque output that I can see. I don't think it'll be doing anything like the 85 to 90s of the high-powered EP8s or Bosch motors. I think this will be tuned more like the EP8R from Orbea, where you're dropping it down to maybe 40 or 50, maybe 60 newton meters of torque. This one, which is shown in the picture, does also have the Tire Whiz and AirTech Whiz, everything put together. This is that fancy monitoring system, so you'll get all the smart stuff in it. This as well is shown with a carbon fiber frame in the 9.9 axis model, so it's electronic shifting, wireless, everything, electronic suspension. They have some crazy testing on it to show how quiet it is. They've taken it into some sound rooms and tested it. The interesting part is a lot of the article is how Trek is talking about how quiet this is, which I don't know. I mean, we have a few people mentioning a bit of a whine from some of the Bosch motors compared to others, but they definitely talk less and less about the power output and what you can be able to get from this, just that it is designed to be a trail bike. It's got 150 mil front, 140 in the rear, 29, just the same thing as the Fuel EX, and its geometry is tuned for all that, where it's stable on the steeps, speed while flat. Like, everything about it is very similar, if not the same, to the current Fuel EX models. And they are calling this a 2022, actually. I really just noticed right now. Prices are yet to be revealed. It is featuring 6 models, starting with a base kit with a RockShox 35 Gold RL and RockShox Deluxe Select Plus with Dior drivetrain and 4-piston brakes, XR5 tires, and then obviously all the way up to the XX1 Axis setup, which has everything, including the Lyric Ultimate and such. I'm really interested to see what the pricing's at on this, and you know, that entry-level one is pretty entry-level part spec. You're going to have to be able to get it in at $699.9, I think, to get it really competitive in the market. Otherwise, it's going to be a really confusing bike, because I think most people would just rather pay for the full assist than some half-assed effort at it. All right, I'm kind of intrigued to see this bike. I'm a little excited. Obviously, there will be a refresh, I think, of the Fuel EXs this year. So whether this is a 2022 or a 2023, are we going to get geometry updates to mimic? It's going to be really interesting. The current Fuel EX is 140, 140. This one's 150, 140. Minor changes, but we are seeing a lot of changes here. And Trek's focus is really pushing towards electric, along with many other brands, but I think Trek's pushing really hard towards it. Hopefully this was enjoyable. Hopefully it helps you out. The link is below if you want to check out this article. Some really cool information in there. All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck.